Hello, I'll be going over this graphic novel I checked out from the library, Cruel Summer, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. I know that Ed Brubaker did Fatale, and it sort of interested me, but I never got around to reading it. But something about the cover of this just made it stand out to me and made me want to see what it was about. Let me get something to drink. Nice and cold. Anyway, it was a fast read. It's only about 250 pages or so, 255. But some apparently, like reading the afterword of the book, this is meant to be kind of like a pre. It was in some ways intended to be a part of a series called Criminal, but the Ed Brubaker had stated at the prologue at the end that it's kind of like a prologue to a series called Criminal. Like the initial concept for this came up with a second uh, book in the series of Criminal called Lawless, where the story is about kind of like this family, Ricky Lawless and Teague Lawless, and it involves some other minor characters, but I mean the story, like it's a criminal story where the family is like a small time criminal, and it's the type of people they hang around, small time criminals. What was interesting to me that who knows if this is what it's like, but it seemed like they had their own like little community, criminal community, where if you needed a criminal job, people had other people who could lead you onto a tip for a job. But what really brought me into the book, one of the first things I noticed was this. It's like a wrestling, an old school wrestling photo. The very start of the story, Ricky Lawless is breaking into an old man's house because they got a tip that this old man may have some jewelry, expensive jewelry to sell. Not sell, but it's worth money. So they were going to steal it and sell it. But when the initial plan between two characters, Ricky and his friend Leo, who is also from like a small criminal family too, they intend to quietly break in, get the necklace, and leave. But Ricky runs into the old man, and the old man, apparently he's having some Alzheimer dementia issues, and he assumes that Ricky's his grandson. But before you know it, kind of like for a split second, the old man comes to his senses and realizes, oh, this guy isn't this. Something else is going on, and that kind of like, to me, leads into like a really great action shot of, like right here, where he's calling him basically like little shit, but the way it's drawn that he's reaching for him, I thought that was really cool. And just that little bit of artwork I just thought it was cool. Another scene, like intensity to it, of kind of like here, of the look on Teague's face when Ricky's confronting him about Teague's girlfriend Jane, because the start of the story is Ricky breaking in, stealing the things, selling it, but apparently the old guy who has that jewelry is connected, and the local mob boss who has some real power orders Teague to pay back that plus like 20,000 more, and so Teague uh, is able to put into plan a heist of a sporting arena while a wrestling match is going on, and kind of like in between, the actual heist and the planning, Teague runs into a woman called Jane, and Jane is kind of like a career criminal running around from one job to another. And Teague is like like you get some insights into who Teague is. He it's never really one to like fall in love, but according to him, this was the first time he fell in love. You know, was with Jane, and apparently, Teague and his son Ricky, they have a certain dynamic together that's never involved Teague falling in love with a woman, and when it's apparent to Ricky, the son, that Teague is in love, he feels a certain way about it. He feels kind of left out, and those feelings do prove fruitful uh, for him because Teague and Jane plan on going away after the heist and leaving Ricky with criminal friends of Teague's, who Ricky knows. So I mean, it's they feel that Ricky's going to be comfortable with the decision, but Ricky's not so cool with it, and that's what led to that fight scene between Teague and Ricky. But I don't know, like just mentioning this too, like one thing where I really couldn't get into it. I think maybe that if you were to read this, then you should read that criminal series, that Brubaker did, because I've never read it. I was only aware of Fatale Fatal. I don't know, but because each character I really couldn't get into. Um, I did find like some strong emotions toward Ricky. I found myself hating him because like different points he was like really too impulsive that I feel like he couldn't separate his feelings from like the criminal activity, with the criminal activity being actual work for them. And like there's a character that's a Ricky's friend named Leo who um, they go on different heists together. Like one of the first heists is like the stealing the old man's jewels, family jewels. No, but at a certain point, it's kind of like Ricky's friend Leo, who's like his like buddy, criminal buddy. It comes to you come to see that he is in his element doing crime, where he gets a clear vision what he should do, and like he has no hesitation, he does it, and it's successful. It's proved successful for him, whereas Ricky is able to do crime, but his impulses, his behavior just get in the way. um, so I guess I feel like Brubaker did a good job about Ricky. I don't know if he intended the audience to try to hate Ricky, but I hated Ricky. And I kind of dislike Jane, but not so much. Because Jane, she's introduced to the story because there is this private eye who is hired by a wealthy guy who's had this necklace stolen from him. And it's never revealed truly, but the private eye comes to assume that the necklace was this guy's wife, who Jane was his mistress, and Jane just stole it. But the private eye, I can't even remember the private eye's name, but it's kind of like a bizarre element in the story that I feel like maybe doesn't fit well together. But anyhow, the detective, or private investigator, I should say, he is kind of the type that, and Jane says this at the very end of the book, where he's kind of like one of those good guys that he wants to save a woman, but he doesn't really get it that sometimes this woman may actually just want what this life has to offer for her, opposed to what he's offering. And I guess he doesn't get it. And like, also another thing that bothered me about that dynamic is that you get like a little bit of insight into the private eye, and he I don't know, it seems like off character for him, because if he falls in love with Jane, he becomes obsessed with her, and that seems like not fitting in his character. But really, though, you really can't tell. Like, sometimes, like, all it takes is for like a woman to just get in your mind and you just run wild. And let me see. And another interesting piece of art that shown is that when the detective is talking with Jane, he recounts that he was in Vietnam, and kind of like what I enjoy about the art style, it kind of reminds me of, especially the scene of Two Fisted Tales. It's an EC Comics. It was like a war thing. I mean, it doesn't exactly look like it, but like kind of like the style, and especially that one little scene. I got like a Two Fisted Tail vibes, and I really dig Two Fisted Tales. But about the private detective too, another scene that I enjoyed was when he apparently gets to jump on Teague after the heist. He shoots him with a shotgun, but it's not fatal. But it's interesting how the private eye came to find out where Teague was. So I mean, I'm not gonna like spoil that part about it, but yeah, I mean, I think if you're a fan of the criminal series, I think you'll find this enjoyable. But if you're just like reading it to just read it, I wouldn't really recommend it. Like, especially like toward the end, it felt like the whole thing was like too quick. Like, they're building up all of these little things that are going on, and like really the private eye and Jane dynamic, it really didn't fit with me with the story. But and in the afterword, it kind of explains that it's more of like a prologue to the criminal series. But yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, it's an enjoyable story, but personally, like for me, I'd have to, like, between a 2 and a 3, I kind of want to give it a 2, like just because of the story wise, but just because I haven't read the Criminal series. That I'm not sure if that would change my mind on it, but just as a standalone story like itself, I would just give it a 2. But if you're, like I said, if you're a fan of the Criminal series, it's worth checking out. I mean, but you never can tell. All right, have a good one.